What's up, guys? This is CNK Reptiles, and we're doing our second leopard gecko video on things to consider when buying your first leopard gecko.
Alright guys, so the first thing you want to consider when you buy your leopard gecko is the enclosure. And for hatchlings, you want a kind of a small enclosure, like something like a 10-gallon, so you can regulate their heat and what they're eating a lot better. Now, when you have juveniles, you kind of want to upgrade that when they get more on the adult side. So you want to upgrade that to probably around like a 20-gallon, and that's basically perfect for the rest of their lives. You can actually house 2 to 3 in a 20-gallon. I actually only have 2, and the first one I have here is 6 months old. There she is. She's asleep. And then the other one's in the cold hide. Now, the second thing you want to consider when you're getting your leopard gecko is the substrate. Now, I want to make it clear that what I have here is not sand. Do not ever get sand for your leopard gecko because they can get impacted when they're hunting for their food, or when they're biting off their shed. They can get impacted by the sand and they can actually die from that. So what I have here is called excavator, and basically what it is, it's like a clay-based substrate, and when you wet it and it dries, it hardens, kind of like to cement, you know. And what it does is it makes it to where they can walk on it. It looks like their natural habitat where they're native to, but they still can't get impacted. So it's like the best of both worlds. And the next thing you want to consider is heating. And you want to get the majority of your heating from an under tank heater or some kind of heat pad, simply because leopard geckos in the wild are nocturnal, so they typically get their heat from rocks that have been heated throughout the day because they come out during the night. And I have my heat pad underneath here. It's underneath this hide, as you can see right here, and it spans all the way up to half of this humid hide. And the reason why I have it like that is because they can get kind of like a temperature gradient. So if they're too hot, they can come over here. If they want to heat up after a meal, they go over there. And that's the way you want to have it set up for your leopard gecko tank. So just keep that into consideration. Now, the next thing you want to talk about when you're getting your leopard gecko is food. And the most popular food source for leopard gecko are mealworms. And you can get these from pretty much everywhere. You can get these from pet stores and stuff like that, and they're the perfect size for leopard geckos, especially hatchlings. Now, as they get older, you might want to consider getting bigger worm-like things, and you can actually get superworms. As you can see, superworms, they're like a bigger version of mealworms, and they actually are higher in protein than mealworms, so you probably want to think of that also. Another food source you can get is crickets, which I do feed my leopard geckos crickets. The best food source, however, is dubia roaches, in which I'm actually planning on ordering, and we might have a video on that later on. And dubia roaches, basically what they are, they're like roaches that cannot fly, they can't climb very well, they're very easy to breed, stuff like that, and they actually have a high amount of protein ratio, and they're low in keratin, which is the outer shell that you see in a lot of these insects right here, the exoskeleton. But when you do feed your leopard gecko, 80% of the time, or 7 or 5 days out of the week, you want to feed them some kind of calcium supplement with them. And what you would do is you'll get some kind of bag, and you'll sprinkle a little bit of this on there, and you'll get whatever you want, whether it's superworms or crickets, and you'll put it in a bag. You'll put a little bit of air and shake it up, and so you can get calcium all over them. And I use calcium without D3 simply because what D3 is basically just the same vitamins and minerals that they get from UV sources, and a lot of leopard gecko owners, they do not use UV, so they do use D3. However, I have a UVB lamp, and actually what it is, it's an Exoterra 2.0, and it's perfect for them because it only emits 8% UV, which is perfect because they can get the D3 while at the same time it doesn't stress out their eyes, because remember, they are nocturnal. And you kind of want to have some kind of dish to where you put the stuff in. So I have a gecko dish, which I also got from Exoterra. I actually ordered it on Amazon, and it's a 2-in-1 dish. And as you can see, it's over there on the cool side. And on the smaller compartment, I put mealworms, and sometimes I put waxworm, which is another food source. But beware, you do not want to feed your leopard gecko waxworms because they're high in fat and they're highly addicted. It's like eating chocolate. Now, on the bigger side, I just keep water, which I change out like every 2 days. Another thing you want to get when you get your leopard geckos are hides. Hides are one of the most important things you can get. You want to have at least 3. You would want to have a hot hide, which I have here, a cool hide, which I have 2 here, and a humid hide. And some people put their humid hides on the hot side so that the humidity so that the heat can cause a higher humidity, which is perfectly fine. The way I had it set up, I couldn't do that, so I just have it in the middle. But basically what you want to do is you want to get like some kind of spray bottle. You always want to use distilled water. You never want to use tap water because there's chlorine in it. But you just use distilled water. You would spray it once or twice a day, depending on how the outside surroundings are. And you would use some kind of mossy substrate so that it can hold up the moisture better. And that's all you need as far as hides. The very last thing you want to consider when getting your leopard gecko is actually the outside surroundings. You want them to house them in a place where it's not too loud. So, if you have your own room, that would be the best place. You don't want to have them anywhere in the living room because a lot of the noise can actually stress them out. Even though they have hiding spots, they don't like a lot of noise. So you just want to take that into consideration. Now, as far as decor, and this isn't really a necessity, but I just have it just to look good. And what I use is I order moss. Well, I actually get the moss from craft stores. I get sheet moss, and it's not that expensive. You can probably get a pack for $7, and there's no dyes or anything. It's basically just freeze-dried moss. And now these plants that I'm using are actually live plants. These are plants that I got from Callaway's. They range from $7 to $3. The bigger ones being $7. And here's what the sheet moss was in. Sorry it looks like that. I just got it out. This bag was actually it had a lot in it, and it was $7. So as far as getting a leopard gecko, that's the only thing you want to